moon in Aquarius, sun in Aries. What up, what up, what up? It's your boy Dave B. You watch the Dave Beyond TV, where we go beyond the everyday bullshit that people be consuming on a day-to-day basis. And let's break it down. We gonna walk through it. We'll talk about, like, okay, so we're entering some crazy, crazy, crazy energy. I got about 30 minutes. It's raining down real bad, so I'm gonna make this video, in that little time span. Try not to make it too long, but I know y'all mess with the long videos. But let's jump right in. So, like I said, we're dealing with a lot of transformative energy. Moon is passing through Pluto, so off the bat, this is already emotional transformations, having to deal with some of the more deeper aspects of what you might be feeling, what you might be still insecure about. And on in this particular space, a lot of it is going to deal with communication. So depending on where you have Aquarius at, you're going to be already reacting and responding to communication there. But see, the thing is, you're going to have to go through some kind of emotional transformation in order to have a better way of communicating or conveying your ideas, either from that space or in general. And my bad if it's mad loud, because the rain is pouring down real bad. So but for the most part, it's going to be a sextile with the sun. But that sextile is already, so that opportunity right there is going to be for you basically to really see yourself. The moon right there is also reacting and responding to individuality. That's kind of that Aquarius energy, what's unique to you, your fixated thoughts. So right here is an opportunity for you to take your fixated thoughts, and based upon, there's a lot of factors, Chiron, sextiling, so the opportunity to see the logic behind a lot of your mistakes. So a lot of this is going to be energy that, even though both of these signs are external, a lot of these are going to be a form of you having conversations with yourself about ways you see the world, ways that your ego plays a part in creating either frustration in your life, basically indicating areas in which you need to transform. So that Chiron sextile is going to be the opportunity to kind of open up your eyes about certain just certain ways you've been seeing the world, mistakes that you've made, certain things you've done as far as how you're going about expressing yourself in this, especially in this new space, because we're still dealing with springtime. We about to hit Taurus season, but we're right now, we're in the last decan of Aries. So this is dealing with Sagittarius energy as an undertone, meaning a lot of this experience that we're going through in this last bit of Aries is you getting a wiser perspective on how you need to actually go about acting in this new persona, or acting in this new awareness, being this new version of yourself, even though this is who you've always been. But of course, you live, you learn, you grow, you expand. And then Jupiter is also going to be sextiling this energy. Now, even though Pluto is really like 0 degrees right now, so a lot of these major energies, like the major influences of this, we aren't getting a full sextile, but it's enough. And the Pluto being an outer planet is big enough to where we can say that, okay, I'm catching small influences here, small influences there. And so a lot of these influences are, again, they deal with transformation, transforming how we think, how we are going about things, ways in which our fixated ideas that we might be stubborn on, right? There's an opportunity to see where these things line up with our individuality, or taking our individual thoughts and aligning them, or seeing where they align or don't align with this new perspective that we're trying to birth, this new way of being that we're trying to birth. So going through this little conflict is really a time in which, again, it might turn out to be a lot more reflective than you even think. And we have a lot of energies coming up that's going to create certain snowball effects. So for instance, we got the eclipse coming up. So it's going to be like a full moon eclipse on the 20th, right? Or no, is that a new moon? Yeah, new moon coming up on the 20th. So, but basically this new moon is going to be an open window gate, dealing with, again, we're going to be dealing with the opposition between Taurus. We know when we're going through Taurus season, this is kind of like, in some ways, this is like one of the most, this in particular, because we go through the constellation, I believe we go through the bull. I'm not sure the actual name. I don't want to just say a name and it'd be wrong. But for the most part, it's like we are going through a time in which we're going to be having to kind of pull ourselves up, put in the work, get our hands dirty. We're going through kind of that dark side. I want to say going through energy of Hades, because what happens is as our sun is going through the bull constellation, the earth is always opposite of where the sun is at. So because if you look at where we are on earth, we're always, again, it's like when you're trying to calculate where the earth is at, it's always going to be in the opposite energy. So right now, earth is in Libra. So this is why certain ways that we actually need to participate in the world in order to grow be the opposite energy of the energy going on at the moment. So for instance, when we're going through Taurus season, we're actually on earth dealing with Scorpio. So you might be going through struggles, dealing with power struggles, or dealing with deep insecurities, or you might be dealing with your deep passions, or being a little bit too passionate and needing to learn and grow through those experiences, right? But what we're seeing and paying attention to is the Taurus energy needing to be stable. So it's almost like you get placed in situations that end up having you learn lessons and pay attention to what's going on earth right in front of you, right? But we're supposed to be acting in ways, and we're supposed to learn how to see ourselves in the energy of where the sun is at. So it's like when we're going through the Taurus season, the earth is going to be dealing with Scorpio. We're going to be dealing with our deep insecurities, our deep passions, and we're going to be going through deep transformations. And it plays out a lot of times through the full. And that's why during a full moon, we're supposed to be acting in the energy opposite of where the full moon is at, because the sun is there. It's like there's too much of a concentrated energy over there as far as the emotion goes. So when we're dealing with so much of a concentrated energy, it's like that be the time though we end up participating in things of the earth, of the world, and get ourselves involved in shit where we didn't, again, because if you did the energy correctly during the new moon, right, the new moon will be in the same space as the sun. So that means the moon will be opposite of where earth is. This means that, again, this is why during new moons you can set all the intentions you want in the world, but you might come to a conclusion that, like, or you might start to get feelings of uncomfortability because it's something new. You might even procrastinate. You might feel highly uncomfortable participating in the energy of the new moon, even if in your mind you're like, oh, come on, it's a new moon, what am I doing? The whole reason is because you are blank there, basically, and the moon is opposite earth. So what you see as far as what you should be doing, the ways in which you're trying to understand how you should grow or participate with the world, earthly type things, how you should, position yourself, or how you should plant seeds, a lot of this becomes difficult to figure out because you're opposite of where the sun and the moon is. So it's almost like earth, it's like you have to make up what to do. So as you go through the transits and you go through the waxing period, by the time you get to the full moon, you should have already not only had the idea of what to do with your time, had the ideas and gone through the trials and tribulations of growing through that new energy. By the time it's in the moon, it's in a full moon, all this energy is going to be opposite the sun, meaning this is why we need to sit and allow our manifestations to play out, enjoy the fruits of our labor, even if those fruits are bad fruits, not take it so personally or deeply to the point it breaks you, but to understand what we went wrong at and what we can improve for next time. That's the time to do reflecting on what we've done as far as earth and how we've grown, and taking certain things that nourish, participating in certain activities that nourish us and keep us protected. But the opposite energy is where the sun is at currently. So this is why we're not supposed to act or overexert ourselves in the, like, externally during full moon times, just because the energy is not going to be in that favor. The sun is having us focus on that, but any actions towards that is going to affect how the moon plays out, because the moon is full in that opposite space. So it's going to make us, again, we're going to act based upon us being imbalanced, but that action alone is going to create a lot of problems with where the earth is at. And that's where you create a lot of these scenarios that make, your life a little more complicated, or put you in a certain state where it's like, damn, what I'm saying? I kind of let everything crumble or fall. You see the fall of whatever it is that you was going a little too. And a lot of that is resulting from you knowing, damn, I didn't do what I was supposed to during the waxing period. Sometimes you overthink it, and, you be participating in shit, not even knowing it. And then by the time the full moon come around, you're like, damn, like I gotta play catch up, or I gotta rush and do this. And it's like all that. The best thing you could do is probably just sit back on it. You know what I'm saying? Sit back on it and kind of peep where you went wrong and try to adjust yourself for the next phase. But, you know, trying to be in that energy and trying to correct everything, you might end up doing more harm than good. But getting back to these energies, so, you know, we're approaching an eclipse season, or an eclipse transit, where eclipses are always indications of things making a major shift, the shift in how you feel about it, and then shift in how you see it. The solar eclipses, where shifting how you see it. Lunar eclipses, how you feel about it. So an eclipse, you can look at it as almost like clipping something off, or getting rid of something, where we have to come to a conclusion on how we're going to shift our life into the next phase. And that's what Aries season always brings, as far as a new birth. But eclipses are clear indications of, okay, you got to stop this. And you might think that you can get away with certain stuff. You might repackage certain addictions or bad habits that you have. You might repackage it and thinking that you change it, but you know in your heart that, damn, I'm still on the same bullshit, or damn, I'm still doing the same things with the same people in the same crowd. So you really should be looking at where you have Aries at, right? And it's going to be on that cusp. So look at, like, you know, those late degrees of Aries, so you know where this eclipse is going to take place in your life, as far as the area of life. You know if it's in your first house, there's certain things with your personal life and your personal insecurities that you're going to have to clip in order to start in order to continue your progress along your path. Second house, there's going to be certain beliefs you have about your values, certain things about what you have to offer to the world, or how you see yourself as far as self-esteem, and what you're able to plant seeds with. Those are going to need to shift. Something's going to have to clip there in order for you to get to the next phase. Your surroundings, there's going to be something you have to switch out, or ways of thinking, thought patterns, and things of that nature that you're going to have to clip out in order for you to keep on going along how you're supposed to go. Fourth house is going to be things dealing with the home, family, maybe insecurities or domestic situations and issues that you're going to have to clip out of your life in order for you to move on to the next space. Fifth house, there's certain things that you might still be entertaining, certain ways you want to see yourself, or that you are seeing, as far as what you're paying attention to, that you're going to have to clip out, or clip out in order for you to keep on going forward. Sixth house, there's certain things dealing with your work routine, schedule, that you're going to have to clip out in order to make space for what's necessary in your schedule. As the seventh house, certain relationships or ways of relating, or ways in which you relate to yourself, that you're going to have to clip out in order to create more balance moving forward. Eighth house, there's certain things behind the scenes that you're still participating in. Again, big on addictions, big on things that you just know damn well you should have been transformed and changed, that you're going to have to shift in order for you to keep on moving forward. Ninth house, there's certain things that are preventing you from traveling, certain beliefs that you have about yourself, certain ways of seeing things, certain wisdom and knowledge, things that you might be, again, you might have faith in the wrong things. You got to clip something out in order for you to keep going. 10th house, certain things that you're having as a status, or certain ways in which you're trying to utilize certain things that's not really working, and you're going to have to clip that out in order to replace it with something new for you to keep on going along your path. Or status, which you're known for, you're going to have to change what you're known for and clip something out that you're usually broadcasting in order for you to start this process of developing a new, because it's still new moon energy, even though it's going to shift into that Taurus energy. That new moon energy is starting with sparking something new to plant seeds in. So that's kind of like how that's going to play out. It's like sparking something new to participate in. And then we got 11th house. So certain things in your social group, or certain ways you're socializing, or certain ways you might be organizing your life, that you need to clip out, that you'll be able to replace with something new. And then 12th house, certain things about your dreams, again, belief systems. This is really belief systems. 9th house is more like moral systems, things that participate with your so things that involve your lifestyle and how you're going about life and how you travel along your life, things dealing with your experiences, certain things you might be experiencing still, or you might haven't quite figured out the right wise way to go about it. You're gonna have to, but back to 12th house, belief systems that you need to actually clip out, or certain doubts or certain things that you're dealing with on your subconscious mind that you're gonna have to shift in order for you to move forward. So all of these energies are gonna kind of be what the eclipse is needing us to do. Pay attention to that area of life, and then look deep within yourself to see, okay, this is where I'm going, or this is where I'm trying, this is where I'm aiming at, and this is where I'm at currently. What needs to shift in this interim for me to actually go along this path in a more sufficient way? What else did we got? Yeah, so that's eclipse things. That's what we getting prepared for. And then we also know that the Mercury retrograde is coming up in Taurus. So there's going to be a need for us to rethink how we're even going about planting seeds, rethink how we're structuring our life from a base perspective. And base, I just mean foundational stuff. So things that we're participating in, how can we start to simplify it? Because Taurus is a very simple energy. Not saying that they're simple people or that they don't have depth but it's a simple energy in the sense of breaking things down to kind of, again, like value. What do I value? And then start from there. Because when you really look at yourself, right, you look at the second house, it starts with what I value. What you value is going to determine, okay, if I value these things, it's like looking at yourself, building up your self-esteem. It's like you can't get to the 10th house, a space in which you are known for something and able to broadcast in a successful manner, aka building a good brand or business for yourself, without first identifying your core values, because the core values are going to indicate who resonates with that and who doesn't. This starts to become what you offer to the world, because that'll be the value others place on you based upon what you value. That's what you're going to start to hone and build on top of. So that becomes the thing that you, sixth house, put in routine and pattern, and it becomes something that you're proficient and helpful with. You can become of service doing this job or this thing based upon what you was valuing. Now I know we take jobs that have nothing to do with what our values and gifts are, but for the most part, that's when we can align our values and gifts with something we can put in routine. This is where you get all the successful brands and businesses, even if those businesses are, like, take McDonald's for instance. This dude, he valued fast food. You know what I'm saying? He valued fast food, and he figured out how to make something that was delicious, and quote unquote. But I'm talking back then when he first started, right? McDonald's, it was like something that was delicious that could also be made fast. So he created a process in the system. He worked at it. It became a routine and pattern to where he got the formula down, blah, 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 blah. And then but it started on the value of, again, whatever his values was at that time, which is everything that has to do with McDonald's branding. And so it's like, it can be simplified into things that we see in the everyday life. But at the same time, it's a bit of, when you talk about your personal life and talk about certain things that you're doing, it's the same concept where you as an individual have to identify what you value. And then when you identify what you value, start to build on that, start to take that and say, okay, what about this can I turn into something to create as a service? And not always so much making everything a service, because that starts to become crazy too, because that's the way of thinking that we've adopted based upon just the physical world and what we have to do for stability and security and things of that nature in the physical world. But it goes deeper than that, because even the type of relationships that you entertain, the type of situations you find yourself in, the things that you manifest for yourself, all come down to certain things that you value or ways in which you're not valuing yourself. And this affects your self-esteem. And then this starts to affect the certain spaces that you become familiar with. Or I like to always look at the third house as familiar thoughts that you frequent, that you're familiar with, that become part of your insecurities or your internal security system. But it started with what you decided to value on, because what your values are at is usually what we're gonna frequent as far as ideas. That's what the space in which your ideas is gonna be at for the most part. It's like wherever your values lie, because if you value bullshit, you value drama, that's where your mind gonna be on. Other people's business, other people's drama, anything that has to do with drama, because you like drama, you value drama. even if you be like, I don't like to be in drama, but you can still value drama itself and have a preference on how you want it delivered, but by default, you're going to manifest whatever it is that wherever you're frequenting, you know what I'm saying? You keep going to that club, you're going to start to see the patterns that involve that club, and that club is going to start affecting you. So it's going to start becoming a part of your schedule. It's going to start becoming a part of how you think and how you see things. That happens with everything that we do, and that's like the third house magic, where it's like things you're familiar with, things that you become, and then it's a reason why that becomes a sextile or opportunity for you to find entertainment, because everything you frequent, next thing you know, is it becomes something that you're paying attention to all the time because it's so familiar. Now it becomes part of your expression. So everything you do starts to look a lot like where you've been. This is why it's like, again, you can have a certain look to you. And it's like, usually it's probably people with a lot of fifth and third house alignments and things of that nature who, they can be in an environment. They start to look like their environment. They start to look and act like the things of their environment. Because the third house is so interchangeable, and the fifth house is how you end up expressing yourself, and also how you put together your persona, or how you put together your ego, and really how you set the stage. So by you set the stage for that, is what you entertain, and it's what you end up, becoming seen for, not so much known for like the 10th house, but you become seen as how you see the world, or how you choose to express yourself, how you might even see yourself at a certain point, even if you see yourself relative to that. So say you frequent the club, right? You start to look and act like the club, but let's say you got a perspective on the club that, I'm not like the club, I'm not like the folks at the club. So it's like you end up, even though you got a perspective on the club, because you be there frequently, you start to act and participate in ways that look like the club, even if you're opposing the club. That's still a role in dealing with the club. It's the same thing with religion, where even if you find yourself being an extreme atheist, you are still in some kind of religious dogma based upon you playing a role in opposition. You playing a role in opposition is you still playing a role in that. You know what I'm saying? So even like being a hater, a lot of times, like a lot of people would think that just because they despise, like for instance, it's like you'll get people who will talk about something, right, that they don't like, and they'll go on and on and on about what they don't like about it. But it's like the whole time you are playing into the other part of that. You know what I'm saying? By you even saying, oh, at a certain point, it's cool to, it's cool. There's nothing wrong with saying what you don't like. But at a certain point, you must like it. You just taking this stance on it. Like your stance on it might be that you don't like it, but you are showing the universe that you like it. And on a subconscious level, you can't stop thinking about it. You're obsessed with it. So it's like on some level, you got to be real with yourself and be like, damn, I must gotta, if I really don't like it, I gotta separate myself from it. Basically, I've gotta remove it from my life. That's a long tangent and shit like that. But I mean, we can keep going because I think this this energy is very potent, because coming off of the Libra full moon, I think that all relationships felt a shift, or felt and not even so much relationships like getting bent on like your relationship with another person, but your understanding of yourself and how you participate, and then the reactions from others and how they participate. There was something that went down that made you really dive into that more. And then the next things that came out of that, the transits that we've just, with the moon, Capricorn, the moon being in Scorpio, Sagittarius, all these different things basically highlighted parts of yourself in relation to others. Or because after we hit that Libra energy, we're hitting that side of the zodiac that is way more about it's like internal stuff, because we're talking about ninth house, eighth house going deep within, right? Even dealing with occult manipulation and things of that nature, deep desires, things that people can't see, ulterior motives. Then we're dealing with the wisdom from it, experiences, knowledge, seeing things, right? Seeing things that other people can see, or see, taking ideas of philosophies and creating a lifestyle around that. Then we had the 10th house. We took energies of us building and utilizing other people or ideas for what we're trying to build, status and things of that nature. Now we're in 11th house, so or Aquarius energy, where we're dealing with the communication, the organization, the thoughts from a fixated nature. Then we're hitting 12th house, where it's dealing with the subconscious. So right now, us reacting and responding to our fixated ideas, this is, again, going through Pluto, it's a need for us to transform those fixated ideas that still have kept us, that have been kind of keeping our subconscious in a space, because that's the next energy coming up. I know we haven't hit there yet, but that's kind of what it's leading to. Right now in Aquarius, there are fixated ways that we're thinking about things that we need to actually, allow Pluto to go with Pluto along with that transformation on an emotional level, so that we can be prepared for what we actually need to shift going into the moon being in Pisces, because the moon in Pisces will be trine in Mars. So right now, the moon in Aquarius is creating this in conjunction with Mars, so we don't even really know what to be frustrated about. So say you're going through an irritating time right now, especially with just the way things are going. It's like you might be frustrated about something but not quite be able to pinpoint what it is, or you might not know or misunderstand how to actually participate with your passions, how to actually connect or feel about the things that you're passionate about, how to go for your goals. You might still be trying to figure that part out. And so this is creating a little uncomfortability. And then on top of that, you got, a lot of these sextiles dealing with Aries energy. And so you're dealing with, again, your personality or your ego or your ways of going about these things, ways of seeing these things. You're dealing with that, but trying to get to, again, the root of this new awareness and how you actually want to display this. So right now we're kind of trying new things out. We're looking at ourselves in the mirror. We're saying, damn, okay, I've been doing this for a long time. I've been acting this way for a long time. Is that actually getting me where I need to go? And then again, you could take the route of being, again, there's a sextile here, so you could double down on that, trying to be a super individual or trying to do that, but you might miss out on ways you actually need to transform yourself in order to make more meaningful or relationships that actually mean more than just, again, just a verbal agreement or just, let's get hot. Say you'll be able to make relationships based on things other than just the things that you've been, because what it is like, the relationships you have now, it's like they're the part of you that needs to transform is ways of thinking that just no longer suit your current state of, not so much state of being, but your current situation. You know what I'm saying? You're upgrading. This is a new year, new time. So at this time, this is why Aries energy is like first. The fight is first. Like the war is first. We got to fight through this new, that's why you come from Pisces into Aries. It's like you go through that time of, in your subconscious, figuring out, imagining, figuring out the dream and what it's going to look and feel like. Then you have to fight for that. You have to go to war for that to set the ground even. And then that becomes the fertile ground that you can plant seeds on. So until you do that fight, you're not going to have that fertile ground and know, okay, these are actually the right seeds. See, if you go through Aries season not fighting with yourself to get to a space of clarity, not fighting with certain things that you've participated with, or as far as like ways of seeing the world, if you haven't gone through the cardinal aspect of Aries, aka initiating the change of how you see things, you're not gonna know where to actually plant those seeds. You're not gonna, or the places in which you choose to plant those seeds are gonna be pretty much doomed to the same fate as old things that didn't work out in your life. Or and this happens a lot of times too, it might be things that, again, say it worked in the past, but this time it won't work. And 9 times out of 10, it's not until it don't work that you're going to look back and say, oh damn, I know exactly why it didn't work, because I was doing the same thing as I did previously. Hopefully that's like the best case scenario. If you make that mistake of doing the same thing again, you'll be in a situation where you can still see like, oh, okay, it didn't work previously, but I see what I could do now. A lot of times people go through situations like that and don't learn what to do next time. They just see their life kind of going downhill, and then they automatically spiral with their life. They go with it. because they not quite sure. And sometimes, again, all that is equated to being lost in your ego or being lost in things when you're resistant to change and you don't want to transform because you're too fixated on being right. That's a lot of times what Mars has a trouble with, especially in Scorpio or things of that nature, wanting to be right, not wanting to be wrong because of the because of the whatever emotional implications that energy has for you. A lot of people don't want to be wrong, but that's the thing. We have to be able to see past our own ego and address certain things that we know that we need to address, and then allow life to tell you what it is. And even certain things that you feel like you've done that's wrong, or certain situations you've been in that didn't go quote unquote right for you, again, we have to endure those things, and we have to decide better for next time. Dwelling isn't going to do anything for you. It's cool to feel your feelings, but at a certain point, you got to say, okay, let's change something. And that's kind of what Pluto is bringing, right? So the moon is also going to be squaring Uranus in general. So yeah, kind of learning through our individuality, right? So certain things as far as pertaining to our individuality has made it hard for us to actually gain stability in a new way. So we might need to actually learn, again, through that emotional transformation, how we can better equip ourselves with that individuality in order for us to actually be doing something new for our stability. Now with the moon squaring Mercury, right? Learning how to think through these emotional transformations. So again, these emotional transformations can make you highly sensitive, but the moon is in an area where we need to light it up. It's in air, so we need to lighten that up enough for us to give in to the necessary ways that we need to change. And by lightening that up, we'll be able to learn the proper lessons that Mercury needs for us to not only understand our ways of thinking and how we can align them with our transformation, but also how to communicate some of those more difficult topics to express, some of those more difficult things to get off our chest. We're learning how to actually communicate that. And then that communication has already been linked up with Uranus to give us a more unique way of communicating and conveying our ideas, right? But it might be a little radical. Now with Mercury going into retrograde, again, a lot of this is going to be a process of rethinking things. So rethinking ways in which we've communicated, how we presented ourselves, rethinking where we plant seeds, rethinking our values in general. Like, okay, what was I valuing, or how have I been valuing this thing? And it's going to be determined about around where you have Taurus at. So wherever you have Taurus at, this is going to be an indication of basically saying, okay, what was I valuing in this area of life, and how was I going about that, and how has that helped me or hindered me, and then making that necessary transformation so that you don't do the same thing again. Also, when we talk about the moon, so Venus, so the moon is going to be trining Venus slightly. And this is an energy that can, again, so Venus is also going through a tough time right now, slightly, just due to Venus squaring Saturn. So Venus in Gemini squaring Saturn in Pisces. This is us having to learn how to value some of these more realistic and harder times that we're going through. So right now, things might not be as peachy and clean as they was when the year first started. Right now, we're getting ready to, again, we was going through that nice little direct period, like I was talking about, the period of time we needed to take the most advantage of because we had all the right pieces. Now things are starting to get jumbled up again. We taking things out the box. We shook up the box, and now it's like, okay, we got to figure out where these pieces need to go now. But it shouldn't be a panic mode. It should instead be a kind of like it's an uncomfortable vibe, but it should be a vibe in which you are committed to the work, committed to saying, okay, and this is part of Venus square Saturn, starting to commit yourself to the work, commit yourself to the struggle, not to stay struggling, but to actually get yourself out of that situation, or appreciate it for now so that you have something real after the transit to actually stand on and move forward with, right? Something that you can be comfortable with, because that's the whole thing. If you're not starting to appreciate the struggle, right? Venus, when it gets into Cancer, is going to be highly uncomfortable. just because you didn't do the right work. You didn't do the right things in the current moment to set you up to be straight when the next transit comes. And that's usually how it always happens. Now, when we talk about, so Venus is going to be trining the moon, right? Venus is also going to be trining Pluto. So again, transforming your values again. You might have to tweak them a little bit. You might have to kill a certain value system, change that up, get that out of there. And then it's also going to be Venus trining the moon. So again, there's a little bit of a somewhat of a positive energy that, again, as you go through your transformation emotionally, there might be a gift for you to actually see something worth valuing as far as emotion, something, a value of yours, or a way you're going about putting out your value, or something that you see of value that you can start to at least find some comfort in. So this new transformation should lead you to something new, or noticing something about your values that you can start to be comfortable with. Like, you know what? I'm going through a lot, but I can at least value this about myself, or value this about my situation. And that value is going to come from either information you receive, or ways in which you're communicating, or ways, communications you have, or certain relationships that you're involved in, certain ways in which conversations can flow properly. So you want to, again, whether you're talking to yourself or talking to other people, now's a good time to get that communication in. And also get clear about the truth about things, you know what I'm saying? Because a lot of times, you can have your own truth, and everything feels comfortable when you're dealing with your own truth. But, we need other people, because as we communicate and express ourselves with other people, we learn so much more, you know what I'm saying? And sometimes our own truths are the very same things that's keeping us away from our goals. So sometimes we have to be introduced to other people's truths, see what other people have to say, and engage in that form of relating in order to expand yourself to actually be clear enough to be like, oh shit, there's more to life than just how I was seeing things. Or, even if you feel like you see everything that you need to see, at the same time, there's so many nuances, either in ways in which you come off to other people, in ways in which people come off to you, that you need to share. Because a lot of times, sometimes we don't communicate about certain things that rub us the wrong way, and we end up creating this underlying energy that can tarnish relationships a lot of times. This is that square with Scorpio, where it's like the underlying conversation that we have, where we experience a disconnect, or we don't quite understand what somebody else is saying, or we don't feel understood. That is enough to create bad seeds in relationships. And they might not completely kill the relationship, but they are the reason why, certain arguments come up, and the reason why certain things end up being an issue later. And depending on what it is and how y'all actually go about it, and who y'all are as spirits, that will determine how important it, or how detrimental it can be, or how positive it can be. Because sometimes, again, once those conversations are had, you're able to at least come to a situation where you have more understanding for the other person. But sometimes they go volatile, and y'all don't have anywhere to reconcile, based upon y'all being different kind of spirits. And especially if y'all, one of y'all immature and decides to make an impulse. That's another thing too. Like, right now is not a time to be very impulsive, especially now we're dealing with enough fixed energy, and we're about to head into Taurus season. So the last thing you want to do is make any crazy impulsive movements, even though that we're going to be next to Uranus, so things are going to change on their own. But for the next couple weeks, you might want to be just mindful of ways in which you're participating with things, so that, again, making any quick to abrupt transformative movements, it can shift things in a way that make it a little more difficult for you in the long run. So you might want to keep more of a level head about certain things as we approach Taurus season. Like I said, Aries is in the last decan of we're in the last decan of Aries, which means that we need to be a lot more wiser about what we are starting as a new way of seeing and feeling about things. We need to be wise about what we are sparking as an interest, or are participating in, whether it's creativity or anything. We need to be a little more aware and wise. Doesn't mean that we have to stop, or that we have to overthink everything, but we need to just keep in mind that, anything I start now, make sure it's something that I can actually finish, and that I can actually sustain myself in. Because something can sound like a good idea at first when you jump into it, but you realize, damn, I can't even sustain myself in this space. Sometimes you got to do it anyway. because you never know what you're capable of until you are stretched to those limits. But that's why, again, a lot of this energy comes down to committing to the work, committing to the fact that I'm not going to get what I want or need. I'm only going to get what I deserve. And if I want what I deserve to look like anything close to what I want and need, I'm gonna have to get up off my ass, and I'm gonna have to appreciate just the hard times I'm in, because I know that they're not gonna last forever, and I know that, hey, there's something outside of this that I could look forward. I just gotta participate in this for the time being and do what I need to do. And a lot of times that be enough to, change your life. And that's really what this energy has in store for you. If all energies have that potential, but you want to change your life for something positive. It's just going through these eclipses. Again, it's like shifty energy where you can shift yourself right into some prosperity, but you're going to have to just make sure that that's exactly what you're doing, and that you're not actually doing anything that's going to perpetuate or keep you stuck. You know what I'm saying? Because so many times, so many ways we keep ourselves stuck just based upon us not knowing how to, basically just us not knowing, not paying attention to the nuances, not actually doing what we need to do as far as shadow work. And even if you are doing shadow work, sometimes, again, that's why relationships and things of that nature are important, because certain things aren't able to be aware of, some things we're not able to be aware of until somebody else is looking at you and being like, hey, sharing an idea with you, or you're participating in the world for you to see the reactions of others. Yeah, what else? Moon. Moon gonna be squaring the North Node. So again, like learning how to be comfortable with your spiritual path again, or learning how to have faith, or learning how to think about your spiritual path too. Learning how to stay fixated on that idea, and while still, change your ideas as far as what's been keeping you blocked, but understand what ideas needed to be transformed in order for you to have the right idea about your spiritual path. Yup. I think that's about it for the most part. So yeah, there's a lot of energy. It's just it's a very, again, it's just trying to prepare us for the fixated portion of the spring, because shit's getting real. You know what I'm saying? Shit's getting real. Just this new awareness that you have, it really comes down to how are you about to play this out, and you have to go to war for this shit. You have to set the tone. You have to clear the ground, go to war, burn everything, and set the ground. You know what I'm saying? And when I say burn everything, I'm not talking about bridges and stuff like that, but any outdated concept about yourself, outdated concepts about yourself, ways that you no longer have to think, because there's certain things, even from childhood, ways in which we've thought we needed to be, that now in our older age, outside of the scope of our parents, we have to decide who we're going to be on now. So now there's certain things you don't need to do anymore, because you're not in that situation you was back then. And even if people around you, because this happened a lot, people around you will try to keep you where you was, you gotta fight them. And this is part of that setting boundaries things. You gotta go to war with that too, and let people know when they got you fucked up, or just continue to do your thing. You know what I'm saying? Because even if you don't want to waste time going back and forth with another person, you're at some point going to at least have to acknowledge, hey, this is where I'm going though. And then from there, you can start to make the proper movements in order to really, again, continue to change your life. Because this is like that life changing time, springtime, top of the springtime, going into the fixated portion. This is you giving life to everything that you was trying to bring here as new. So hopefully you had some real shit that you was working on and bringing here, so that you have some real shit to plant seeds in. You have some real shit to start tending to and giving nourishment to, so that it can grow and become something worthwhile, something prosperous for you, something that you can utilize later on, aka by the time it gets to Capricorn season, when you need it the most. You know what I'm saying? Like that'd be when you need shit to work for you the most, going through the winter time. But people don't realize how important the spring is, this time right now is, to things that's finna happen fall and winter time. So yeah, specifically around Scorpio season. You know what I'm saying? And even though I know that's the fall and shit like that, but the fall going into just that time period in general. You know what I'm saying? All that shit matters. So yeah. So that's the biggest thing. Right now it's just emotional transformation. It's dealing with our individuality, but it's more about us looking at ways we've been thinking, ways we've been stuck and stubborn, as far as ways we've been thinking about the world and maybe even communicating. And if you're on the other end of this, where you actually pretty satisfied with what you've been communicating and how you've been looking at the world, then this is time to double down on this dude got the whole Muslim fit. You know what I'm saying? Not Muslim, but the not real Muslim. Well, I don't know, man, but y'all know what I'm talking about, like the 5%ers. Yeah, he got that Moor outfit on. You know what I'm saying? He look like a real Moor. Moor. Anyway, you know what I'm saying? He got the whole get up. But for the most part, yeah. And I'm laughing more so just because it's like not the, when I say the Muslim fit, I'm not saying like I'm not talking about that coach. It's just like, it's crazy because it's just like a dude. I don't know. When you get to, it's hard to explain, but like the 5%er dudes, more so Muslims, not actual Muslim people who, but I'm talking about the 5% Muslims who, what I'm saying, old dude from the corner store got like a little, he got the get up on. But I don't know, bruh. I'm not, hey, to each their own. It was just funny because it's raining. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's not the weather for that. Like, that shit see-through. Like, it's not the weather for that shit. That shit crazy. And it's hot. It's very hot. But, shoot. You know what I'm saying? But for the most part, yeah. So this is just energy in which, we have to take precaution of that. We have to be mindful of, like I was saying, if you're on the other end of that positive end, you're happy and satisfied with your individuality right now in ways you've been thinking, then good. It's time to double down on that and take that sextile energy for you to continue to expand on ways you need to communicate. Everybody going through an emotional transformation. Just hopefully that transformation is in a positive way. But everything comes down to you needing to take that transformative way of feeling and then doubling down on what you need to jump into and doing it bravely and doing it yourself, making it, even if you're on a negative end of things and you're going through a lot of bullshit in your life right now, and there's some things that you had to transform and you're going through that difficulty, even then, whenever you make that emotional shift and that emotional transformation, double down on that and make it individual, make it unique to you. Make it something that you're doing for yourself as far as how you're going about the world, and use that sextile to kind of push you forward, to help you expand. Jupiter sextile in this moon energy, pushing through mistakes, you know what I'm saying? A better way to think about mistakes, a better way to see those different things that you were involved in and how to make it more you know what I'm saying? And as long as you kind of align those energies, and again, if you're on the negative end of things, changing those things, but not taking it so heavily, lighten it up and keep it moving forward. You know what I'm saying? That's kind of the most important part, is as long as you are moving forward with it, as long as you're taking it for what it is and say, all right, let's keep going, you'll be all right, right? So I believe that's everything, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.